All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Madison Local School Board to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Cotterman.
Here.
Mr. Mosier.
Here.
Miss Amy Walker.
Here.
Mr. Porter. Here.
Okay, item C, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, if we could pull out Jennifer Porter from M1B for separation.
Yep. Okay. Roll call. You got that?
Yeah, I got it. We don't need to vote on it.
So, yeah, we'll just vote on the,
Agenda.
yeah.
Okay. Mr. Mosier.
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mr. Porter.
4.
And then item D, can I get a motion to approve the previous board meeting minutes
So moved.
in a second? I'll second. Okay, item E, presentation of certificates. Oh, what did I miss?
No, well, I got a vote. No
Oh,
discussion.
sorry.
Mrs. Melissa Walker.
4.
Mrs. Cotterman.
4.
Mr. Porter.
4.
Mr. Mosier.
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. Now presentation of certificates.
Okay, we have 3 presentations to make this evening for 3 of our staff members, 3 of our employees who are receiving the Ram Pride Award this evening. And I'd like to start by having Sonia, Mrs. Pluck, and Ms. Schaum come forward. And Lisa, if you would come forward. And I'll read a statement made by Mrs. Pluck. Tony Schaum has been employed in the Adult Career Center as a phlebotomy instructor since 2016, educating many adult students and preparing them to become registered phlebotomy technicians. Tony has also stepped up into a new role as externship coordinator, in which she has mastered intense follow-up and follow-through to ensure student success and intervention when necessary. Tony visits and maintains communication with externship sites and goes above and beyond to maintain and secure new sites for students. She is always willing to assist with mentoring new instructors and checking in regularly while maintaining her instructional and externship coordinator roles. Tony stepped in and took on an instructional role in a new subject area when the regular instructor was injured and did an amazing job, including personal skill review in subjects with which she had limited experience. Tony's approach is one of caring and no-nonsense communication, setting lofty but attainable student expectations. Despite being thrust into teaching 4 days a week in a crisis, Tony never missed a beat. Tony is a true team player and contributes a great deal of input and expertise to our healthcare programs and overall operation. Could you join me in a round of applause for Ms. Tony Schaum?
Tony's been with us for 12 years, and I'm telling you, there's been times where we couldn't have made it without her, so she deserves this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And my students really bring a lot of joy to me. I'm retired from my other job, which was in the medical field, obviously. But I look to strive to take the students all the way through to their career paths, and sometimes we find that it's not really the path they want to take. So I have more joy in this arena than I did in the medical field, and I think it's because of all of you in the community and my colleagues and my students. So thank you.
And she is actually teaching class across the hall if any of you want to sit in.
But please don't. No, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Mrs. Cox, would you come forward along with school counselor from Madison South, Katrina Tripp? Katrina Tripp, Madison South School Counselor, exemplifies what it means to be an excellent staff member. She goes above and beyond in everything she does. She is a true asset to the staff and students at South. She listens without judgment, is a problem solver, and works tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that no child falls through the cracks. She runs in-house groups for different grade levels or wherever a need might come up. She organizes all the outside counseling services for Madison South so that our students can have access to getting their needs met. She also collaborates with administration on several projects to do whatever it takes to serve students. She spends so much time helping students get in the door or jumping into clean a cafeteria table or simply offering a kind word. Her presence makes South a better place. She brings an energy and enthusiasm to her job that goes unmatched. Please join me in a round of applause for Katrina Tripp.
We're truly blessed to have Katrina a part of our Madison community, so thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank you. I did not prepare a speech.
We're gonna take a picture of that. Okay.
And last, but certainly not least, Mr. Conway, if you would come forward from the high school, and Mrs. Deb Hunt, Administrative Assistant at the high school. Mrs. Hunt is a true leader among our staff. She is truly the backbone of the Madison Comprehensive High School support staff. She is always professional and eager to help out a colleague in need. Her office skill set is unmatched. We are extremely fortunate to have the opportunity to work with such a character-driven, hardworking, and generous person. Madison is truly a better place because of Mrs. Hunt. Congratulations.
Just to, I guess, expand on that, I just want to say Mama Hunt means the world to Madison Comprehensive High School. Our students, our support staff, our teachers, I don't know if we could get through a day without her. And it might say on the website that Mr. Grove and I run that building, but we all know that's not true. The building does not run without our MVP, and that is 1,000% Ms. Deb Hunt. So thank you, Deb.
I don't have a speech, I'm sorry. Thank you.
We have to take a picture.
Okay, at this time, F, we're going to recognize any visitors or visitors' comments, anyone who want to address the board. Okay, G, administrative committee reports. First is legislative, and there are no reports for that. 2, athletic board of control.
We have not met since December.
Okay, and then we have our student representative, Courtney, with us tonight. Hi.
My name is Courtney, if you do not know me, and I'm the student representative for tonight. So there is a boys basketball game tonight against Crestview, and fans are very excited to watch them play, and their current record is 7-13. Swim just had sectionals on Saturday, and everybody there had a PR. 5 swimmers are moving on to districts, and that is 2 relays and 3 individual events. Landon Harvey is moving on in 2 relays, and in the 500 and 100 free. Andrew Parrish is moving on in 2 relays and in 100 backstroke. Eli White, Jason Tackett, and John Collins are also moving on for a relay. Girls basketball is doing amazing this season and are sectional champions. They play again Tuesday against Tiffin and have a current record of 14-8. Softball and baseball have been working very hard for what they can do inside for practices. Their mandatory practices have started, and they are looking forward to their first games in around mid-March. Track has been practicing since before Thanksgiving, and they finally get to start officially next week. We are about halfway through our third quarter, and groups are starting to plan for end-of-year events like prom. Student Council is also getting ready to host their annual volleyball tournament, which is coming up next Friday. Senior graduation orders have been delivered, and the end of year is coming very, very soon. Thank you.
Facilities.
Just have one quick update today in regards to the middle school boiler project. We have one boiler up and running now, new boiler up and running. The second boiler should be arriving this coming week. They'll start installing that. It's not really as big of a hurry right now since we do have the one up and running. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. And then board policy.
We did meet on the 10th, and there will be some changes up and coming, but there's nothing on the agenda tonight.
And those policies are here that we talked about. If anybody wants to take a peek at them, take them home, you're welcome to grab them. Student achievement.
So at Mifflin, students recently completed mid-year diagnostics with results showing a growth rate of 61% in reading and 59% in math, with the goal being set at 50% at this point in the school year. Students earning enough points for PBIS attended the second quarter leadership celebration at Cinemark for a whole school field trip. And students must earn 90% of possible points this quarter to earn the annual tradition of Mifflin Down on the Farm Day. Currently, Mifflin is beginning to read The Water Horse by Dick King Smith in preparation for Literacy Night on March 26th. At Madison South, they celebrated the students that made typical growth and stretch growth on the quarter 2 diagnostic. They had 78% of students K through 4 make their typical growth in ELA, and 63% of K through 4 make typical growth in math. They'll keep working to get all students to typical growth by the end of the year. At Eastview, they hosted their very own Olympic ceremony, celebrating the top 3 students who demonstrated the most growth in both reading and math on their mid-year iReady diagnostics. Students were awarded gold, silver, and bronze medals and had their pictures taken on the podium to commemorate their accomplishments. Mrs. Walker, Ms. Crunkleton, and Mrs. Kaiser, have been working hard to prepare the talented cast for the Eastview Mifflin musical production of The Lion King Jr. Performances will take place on March 20th and 21st at 6:30 at Eastview Elementary. Tickets are $5, and they hope to see you there to support the students and celebrate all of their hard work. On Wednesday, February 11th, the high school was finally able to recognize student academic achievement from second quarter of school by holding their honor roll breakfast. Students from all grades enjoyed breakfast items provided by Mrs. Dillon and the Academic Achievement Club and were awarded certificates for their specific awards. Students were recognized for having all A's, honor roll, and being a scholar athlete. Students with all A's were also treated to a pasta bar during all 3 lunches. This was put together by our Academic Achievement Club and our Culinary Arts Department. In Career Tech, we have 12 students who will be competing in the state competition in various competitions for Business Professionals of America. We wish them the best of luck as they present the Rams on February 23rd and 24th. And those students are Peyton Butler, Kylie Carroll, Aubrey Kahn, Izzy Conway, Jace German, Corey Kirshner, Nick McGlott, Jamelyn Mays, Ashley Nicholas, Olivia Penrod, AJ Studer, and Elena Washington. And lastly, at the Career Center, they're pleased to report Madison Career Center's recent student achievements. Certification and licensure testing passage was 100% with 5 out of 5 passing welding, 1 out of 1 passing the registered medical assistant, 1 out of 1 passing advanced cosmetology licensure, and 1 out of 1 cosmetology licensure. Recent program completion is at 92.3% with 8 out of 8 nail technician students and 4 out of 5 CNA students. And lastly, the adult diploma program 25-26 statistics from July of 2025 to February 11th. The enrollment totals were 30 students. Graduation was 95% with 20 out of 21 students. Retention was 100% with 9 out of 9 students enrolled. In the 24-25 year, 36 out of 40 students completed with a 90% graduation rate. So there was an increase there.
Thank you. Next up is age presentations. We'll start with Christina Clever with the Madison Athletic Boosters.
Finance and Superintendent.
Do we have, did they meet yet?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I didn't realize that
Okay.
committee was up and running.
That's okay. So we had our first finance committee meeting on February 9th, and it consisted of Ms. Montgomery, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Porter, and myself. And since it was our first one, we basically discussed what we're going to do with the committee and what our goals would be. And basically, we just want to, school finance is so complex, we want to just learn and maybe get small bits of information and then kind of teach everyone things. So, first, a couple quick facts that we want to share is that we are the second largest school district by enrollment in the county, with approximately 2,567 students. Our general fund annual budget is about $40 million, with about 50% of that being salaries and 35% of that being the benefits. So roughly 85% of our general fund is budget and salaries. Our goal as a school district financially is to have 60 days, which is 2 months of cash on hand. And then Brad prepared these charts for us. All of this information came from the Ohio Department of Education website, and then Brad kind of makes the charts. So the first one, the top left in green, is total expenditures per pupil. So this chart shows how much we spend on everything per pupil. So this includes the salaries and benefits, but includes everything: electricity, maintenance, supplies, janitors, every single thing. That's where we're at. So we're right in the middle compared to other districts in our area. There's also the average of similar districts, and there's also the statewide average on here. So the green chart below it is instructional expenditures per pupil, but that shows how much money goes to instruct our students. So just books, supplies, teachers, curriculum. It's not everything. It's not the electric. It's not administrative costs. And we're near the bottom of this chart. So it shows that we are spending money on instructing our students. And then the blue chart is expenditures, instructional expenditures as a percentage of total expenditures. So we are at 64%. We're the very bottom there. So we spend the most out of all the neighboring districts and more than the state average on instructional expenditures. So this is where our money should go, and we are doing just that. The last two charts, the gray one and the orange one, are administrative costs per pupil. The orange one, well, the gray one's the cost, and the orange one's the percentage of total. So this would just be salaries and benefits of administration. So sometimes I know in the community there's a lot of talk of we spend too much on administration, but a lot of the data that we look at shows we actually really do a fantastic job at Madison in putting our money where we're supposed to. So when this snapshot was taken, we have to consider, so it shows us the second down at 12%, and there's some other schools at 12%. However, we have 3 elementaries, a middle school, a high school, the career tech, adult ed, and the early childhood center. So when we compare ourselves to other districts, those other districts, and they're not the second largest in enrollment, we're doing really well. We're not overspending on admin at all. There was also a report from BASA, which is the Buckeye Association of School Administrators. Back when the state did their budget, House Bill 96, they passed a 15% cap on administrative costs. So BASA ran a report, and they did a little different than the Ohio Department of Education did. They did it broader and included lots of different things like the buildings that the admins are in and things like that. But out of 608 schools, Madison was the 20th as far as the least amount spent on administrative costs. So again, we're doing a fantastic job with that. And one other thing I wanted to mention is if there's ever anyone from the community or staff that wants to come to a finance committee meeting, you are more than welcome to. Just let us know. We'd be happy to talk and answer questions.
Do you have the next date set yet?
Not in stone. We're thinking the,
Monday before the board meetings,
Yeah.
typically,
Okay.
typically, but
but
we
nothing's
don't,
set
yeah,
and
nothing's set in stone yet.
flexible.
Very good. Thank you for that. Very informative.
You're welcome.
Superintendent's update. Almost forgot that one too.
Yeah, just a few updates. As far as where we are in the school year, we're about halfway through the third grading period. I'm sure seniors are not counting, but if they are, they have 61 days of school left. Weather permitting, of course, which has been an issue so far this school year, which leads me into my next update, which is a Calamity Day update as to where we stand. At this point, we've had 9 full Calamity Days, as well as 4 two-hour delays. As far as students having to make days up, where we currently stand is for seniors, we could still miss the equivalent of 2.5 days, basically, and still not have to make any days at the end of the year. The reason seniors are different from the others is because they get out 3 days earlier than the rest of the students. As far as grades K to 11, we could still miss the equivalent of 4.82 days and still not have to, the students would not have to make any up at the end of the school year. So, fingers crossed. Hopefully we can get through the rest of this winter without having to miss any more school. State testing is right around the corner. It will be kicking off during the month of April. Elementary Olympics, I don't know that I've mentioned that date yet, so wanted to share that. It's May 18th. We'll start at 6 o'clock out at the football stadium, and the rain date would be the following night, the 19th. And then just my last piece of information, which you're probably all aware, the auction of the junior high property will take place on Monday at 5 o'clock down at the junior high property. And then we will be scheduling a special meeting for the following night on Tuesday for the board to vote on whether to approve the sale of the property based on the highest bidder. And that concludes my update.
What time are we gonna meet?
Yeah, do we know a
Tuesday.
time?
I thought we talked, let
I
me,
thought we talked about
Yeah.
4:30, but
I think you're right, but
I
let me
may be
check
wrong.
my calendar. Yeah, 4:30 at the board office. And that'd be Tuesday.
The 24th.
Yep.
Okay, now item H, presentations. Christina Kleber, Madison Athletic Boosters.
There's the, right there.
Hello. Everyone can turn that way, it's fine. As she mentioned, I am Tina, I'm the president of the Boosters. Along with me today, I have the VP, Nicole Rogers, and one of our MABC officers, Josh Thompson, that are here. Just listed above is, I'm the president, Nicole's the VP, the secretary, Jamie Zellner, treasurer, Chelsea Lowe, fundraising, Katie Cox, and then we have 2 MABC officers, Cassie Jacobus and Josh Thompson. Everyone that is on the board, they are required to meet once a month with us. They're required to volunteer down at the bingo hall 1 to 2 times a month, and they are also required to, we have to have a board member down at bingo, at least one person every night at bingo, to make sure that things go smoothly and everything's good to go. One of our main things that we are very thankful that we have is the Eastbrook Center. We currently have 3 employees that help run the Eastbrook Center, and then they have certain duties. Our one person is Courtney Kimes. She is our kitchen manager at the Eastbrook Center, and she runs our concessions. And then we have Carrie, Henry, and Megan Studer. They are both the co-managers of the Eastbrook Center, and they help run bingo. The Eastbrook Center, we have rented it out a lot more here lately. We profited a little over $3,000 in hall rentals this past year. Fundraising, our fiscal year, it starts from November 1st to October 31st, so this is just some fundraising that we did in between that time. With our Variant Booster Bingo, we profited a little over $142,000 this past year. With concessions, we profited a little over $22,000. And with our purse bingo that we hold yearly, which our 5th one is coming up this year, we profited a little over $40,000. We had a turf fundraiser back in October. We profited a little over $8,000 on that. And something new that we added this past year, tip machines. These are some locations that we have them at. We're still working on some more locations. As you know, like we sell tips during bingo, right? Now we have these machines that we can put into different places like drive-thrus, restaurants, gas stations, bars. We have 6 locations right now. And just in November and December, we profited alone over $1,900 from these machines. The volunteers down at the bingo hall, we paid out over $73,000 in volunteers. That's with sport teams, Madison staff, Sophistication Dance Company, the Lions Club, Music Boosters, Boy Scouts, Madison Early Child Learning Center. And what's super awesome is SDC, they volunteer every Sunday and every Wednesday in our kitchen. It's amazing that they get one person each night for us. And we feed every volunteer that comes in there and helps us. We do about 5 to 10 meals a night that we donate to them. Some upcoming fundraisers. This is a new one that we're starting. I'm hoping it goes great. It's going to be March 14th at 6:30 down at the bingo hall. It's a golf bingo, and it is trying to get guys more involved. The purse bingo does amazing. We get about 400 women out there, and we do a great amount of money coming in that night. So we're hoping that this golf bingo really helps us out here. It's they'll be playing 10 games of bingo and can win some golf items. So if you're not signed up, contact me. We'll get you signed up. And like I said, our fifth annual Ram Purse Bingo is Saturday, August 5th. One of the things that happened down at the bingo hall this past year, we got a Business Spotlight Award. Lancaster is our supplier down at the bingo hall, and they donated $1,000 to our bingo staff down there to have a night of fun. It can go towards anything, like say we were to do like a night glow, they would give us $1,000 to do all the decorations for it and whatnot. So that's coming this spring, summertime, when things are a little slow. We're going to do like a fun night down there at the bingo hall, but it's a really awesome accomplishment that they were able to get that $1,000 award there. One of the things that we're working on is a turf project. It's in the process of happening right now. The Boosters was able to secure a $600,000 loan from Park National to help with this. And just some items that we've donated this past year. Just the turf, new tables down at the bingo hall, the scoreboard, meals, wrestling mats, uniforms, pool rentals, 10 $1,000 scholarships, and there's a lot more, but that's what came off the top of my head. There's a lot of changes that we've made these past couple years since I've been on the Boosters. One thing was we started taking debit cards down at the bingo hall and at the concessions, which is bringing in a lot more money. And the concessions, it's definitely a game changer for the concessions when other schools come and they're like, oh, you take debit card, tap, and then they'll buy more. Another thing we did was the ATM machine down at the Eastbrook Center, which is awesome. We definitely made our money back on that. It was a good investment to do. And we have it available for whenever people rent it or for down at bingo. And then the tip machines at the local businesses. We ended up getting a register system at the bingo hall, all new paperwork and everything balances at the end of the night. We painted the hall, the Madison boys soccer did this, and we paid them to do it, and they were able to go to a camp that summer too. And the hall looks amazing. We took a couple chances on a few different games down at the bingo hall. We had a lot of angry people at first, but it's been a year now, and everything is going as planned and definitely has paid off. It's called the Bingo Shark, and we had to up our mission, and it's going pretty good. So very thankful that that worked out, and we're making more money because of those 2 games that we pushed there. We're renting out the Eastbrook Center more. We built a great relationship with the Lions Club. They run their meetings out of there, and we have at least 1 to 2 volunteers a night from the Lions Club down there. Marty is amazing, and he's down there every single night of bingo. We have a easy sign-up sheet now for bingo. It's a shareable spreadsheet that any coach, any parent, if anybody wants to volunteer, they can have access to this sheet and sign up for bingos. And we encourage all the sports to have their end-of-the-year banquet down at the hall free of charge. And that way we get people down there so they can see the hall, they can rent it, they can see where bingo happens, and we definitely just encourage that. The last thing that we did recently was switch up our bank accounts to earn more interest off of our accounts that are money's just sitting there. Every month we've made over $500 in interest of money just sitting there. So it was probably not so fun for the bank to do all that, but it's definitely paid off. And last but not least, we are always looking for volunteers down at bingo. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Student Services Director, Bill Roth.
Sorry, I raised this just a little bit. All right, so my name is Bill Roth. I am the Student Services Director for the district. This is my first year. I was intervention specialist at the high school, so it's a familiar home to me. I spent a lot of time in this library, so very comfortable being here. Really excited to show you all the great things that we're doing. So first, I want to give a shout out to everyone that's in our office, especially being this first year. Like, there's so many questions that I had, and every single person, and there's way more that I could list, but I don't want to be here too long, did such a phenomenal job helping me. So Heather Rickard is our administrative assistant. Nate Whitman is our school psychologist for grades pre-K through 4, and he also does all the non-public schools. So he's at Mansfield Christian and St. Mary's. Kristen Hutchinson, she's our psychologist for grades 5 through 12. Jacob Littleton, he is a school psychologist assistant, so he is in the process of getting his full degree. Jen Eckenweiler is our preschool coordinator. She's very busy. They have a ton of enrollments. Every time I talk to her, she seems to have about 5 or 6 more kids coming in, so they're doing a really great job over there. John Agin, he's known as Sunshine and Rainbows in our office. He is just the most positive person you can be around. He is there for kids that sometimes can't come to school or have some difficult situations, and he's able to provide those services to these students. And then myself, and I am the Student Services Director for the whole district. So our staff right now, we have 39 intervention specialists, so those are your typical classroom instructors. We have 27 paraprofessionals. We have 5 speech language pathologists, and 4 of those are hired through Mid-Ohio. 1 is hired through the district. We have 2 occupational therapists, 4 occupational therapist assistants, 1 physical therapist, 2 physical therapist assistants, 1 teacher of the visually impaired, 1 orientation mobility specialist. We have an audiologist and interpret services on retainer through Catalyst, and we have child and adolescent counseling through Catalyst as well. So that is all those who kind of fit under the umbrella of student services throughout our district. So our enrollment. So I do monthly counts. I try to do them somewhere in the middle. So I did it a little bit early because I wanted these numbers to be ready to go. As of right now, we have 510 students that qualify for student services. That's up from last year. We had 486 when Mr. Turlow did this presentation last year. Additionally, for our preschool, we have 47 center-based students and then 18 itinerant preschool students. So those are students that don't go the entire day in preschool. They're either there for 1 or 2 hours, depending on what their IEP states. This year, this is the big thing I really want to hit. This year, the Student Services Office has received 55 parent requests for evaluation, along with 12 staff requests. So we are getting a lot of requests, from parents that are seeing things with their children, and we're trying to, get those evaluations done. Obviously, we have a time that we have to hit through the state and federal law guidelines, but we always try to act as quickly as possible. And so those numbers are very up compared to last year, because last year, the entire year, they only had 75 requests for evaluation. So we're already above, we're getting close to those numbers. We're going to be above them pretty soon. Sorry, the wrong button. All right. So there's two sections to this grade card I want to go over. The first one, which is the special education annual rating. And this is based on the 2023-2024 academic year. We hit all areas. We hit a 4 on all of them but one. We were marked as a 3 for valid and reliable data. That was due to just one evaluation having the wrong checkbox. So it wasn't like anyone was negligent or we weren't hitting our numbers. It was just one tiny thing. Mr. Turtle, before he left, had initiated the corrective action plan. I completed it in September of this school year, and everything's been smooth sailing in that area since. I hope we continue that. So the next is the special education profile data based on the 2024-2025 academic year. We hit all but one, and that was the disciplinary discrepancy. We were just slightly over the number that the state was looking for. So I spent a lot of time in December and January submitting a lot of information to the state. The good news is all of our forms came back great. All the data that I showed the state was fine. So nothing was done, out of compliance. The one thing that I am working with SST 7, we are going to be updating our procedures and policies. We have a lot already, where they need to be, but there's just some things that we need to tighten up. In addition to that, one of the things that I've kind of really put a heavy emphasis on since I've taken over is making sure that we're meeting our students' needs who have some behavioral issues or needs. So there's things called a functional behavior assessment, and there's behavior intervention plans. Functional behavior assessments kind of figure out what are some triggers or what are some things that, maybe lead up to some, areas of concern. And then the behavior intervention plan addresses those, so that way, hopefully they decrease or eventually they're non-existent. So we have already conducted more FBAs this year than we had last year. So that's something that I'm, very proud of. And that's something that our school psychologists play a really big role in. So they're not just doing evaluations. In order to do an FBA, that has to be done through a school psychologist. So they're working extremely hard in that area. We had a very big system update. Previously, we had used some software through student information, and it was just called Special Services. That's kind of going away, and it was kind of the first call I got to make as the director, was when we were going to implement Same Goal, which is a new IEP software, and our options were either to do it in December or after December or do it at the beginning of the school year, and I said, let's rip that Band-Aid off right now. I know the beginning of the school year is hectic, but not going to be any more fun to do in December. So there's a lot of great parts to it. It's improved compliance. You can't complete forms unless they are compliant date-wise. It streamlines district-to-district transfers, so that makes our process a lot easier in our office. It also gets our students in the correct environment in a more efficient manner. It has that embedded validation error check, so the only person who can complete any paperwork with an error is me. And sometimes you just have to do it because it has a draft watermark. So if I want to get a signature, I'll complete it, then uncomplete it so it doesn't have that draft. But the good thing is we don't really have to do that anymore because we have the easy remote viewing and signing. So during COVID, the state laxed their laws on how you could get a signature for paperwork. You could say agreed through Zoom or agreed via telephone. They no longer allow that. So this service, we can send it right to the parents and they can follow along live with us and they can see any changes being made and they can sign that document that day during the meeting, and that improves compliance and improves us getting these forms back to the parents in a more efficient manner. So the next thing I want to talk about are the things that are new to our district. So I'd like to invite Sarah Miller and Tricia Bell up real quick to speak. Tricia Bell is our new RBT, a registered behavior technician, and she's been working at Mifflin, and they're going to kind of talk they've been doing a fantastic job, but they're in there day to day, so I want them to talk first.
I'm Sarah Miller. I teach with Katie Lang. I'm actually going to speak on behalf of Katie Lang because both of us have the honor of having Trisha in our classrooms every day, and she's been amazing. So everything Katie says in this letter, I totally concur, but I'll read what Katie has to say. She said, I am writing to offer my strongest recommendation for Trisha. Before she joined my classroom, each day presented significant behavioral and instructional challenges that made it difficult to maintain a safe, productive learning environment. I frequently experienced disruptive and unsafe student behaviors, which limited my ability to provide consistent instruction and support student growth. Since Trisha's arrival, there has been a remarkable transformation in both classroom climate and student outcomes. Her professionalism, dedication, and skill in behavior management have allowed me to fully focus on teaching. Because of her consistent support and effective strategies, my students are now making meaningful academic and social progress. She has helped create a structured, calm, and supportive environment where students are able to learn, grow, and succeed. Trisha has also made it possible for our students to successfully attend specials and participate in lunch alongside their peers, opportunities that were previously extremely challenging. Through her patience, guidance, and expertise, students have developed essential social, emotional, and behavioral skills that allow them to engage positively within the school community. Trisha's impact extends beyond daily classroom support. She has provided our team with valuable tools, strategies, and confidence that have strengthened our overall effectiveness. Her dedication to student success, collaborative spirit, and unwavering commitment to excellence make her an invaluable asset to any educational setting. And like I said, she is amazing. I don't know what we'd do without her. Thank you. So you can put a face with a name. You want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you for having me at Madison. I have two kids that go to Madison Middle School, so we're actually new to the district. And to be able to work with kids, I work with kids with autism, I have for years, and just behavior challenges. I'm just here to watch every child succeed, and that's what we're all here for. So to be able to be a part of it, I truly feel it's an honor, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And also, I also feel there should be RBTs in every school that we have.
Yes,
So.
absolutely.
I could go on and on about all the great work that they do in those rooms. One of the big things that I wanted to do when I took over this position is, I was very familiar with the high school, and I have a little bit of elementary experience, and they invited me to the room, and I got to be a part of it, and I really, I feel like I learned a lot from being there. So again, thank you to, everyone. So the next thing, Mr. Grove talked about this during his presentation, but I felt like it was important to mention as well. And that is our new job training coordination program for students with disabilities in the 11th and 12th grade. Karen Von Stein's the instructor of that class, and I can't tell you how much I enjoy working with her. So it's both of our first years in this position, and we've known each other because we worked at the high school. She's doing such a fantastic job. She's teaching so many different job skills, workplace safety, appropriate behaviors in the workplace. I can't tell you all the great things that they're doing. I do have a couple pictures, some slides. So this was earlier, I believe a couple weeks ago, doing some detailing and cleaning to the buses in the bus garage. So that's another great way that we can collaborate between different entities within our district. And then we have some things that are going on in the classroom. So that's Karen's room. So we also had the opportunity to have the NHS to work with this program as well. So it gets our students included. It's something that, it's going to pay dividends if it hasn't already. I've seen how much the kids enjoy and learn from this program, and I see how much our staff and our teachers just, that the smiles on their face when I'm in the hallway and I see these, people who work with the kids as well as the students. Like, it is such a great program. I'm so glad that, Madison has this. So it's been a, definitely hats off to Mr. Grove and to Mrs. Karen Von Stein. The next thing I want to talk about, and this has been mentioned in a meeting before, There's a family engagement team through the district, so it kind of started at the high school. Mr. Dipfelson, who's here, back here, he kind of is the head coach of it. But I know it started in the high school, but we're really trying to branch this out to be a full district team. And it works hand in hand with my office. So some of the things that we've done as a collaborative, group, we do a lot of home visits. So I know I talked about how Same Goal is very easy to, sign. There's parents that, have difficulty with technology, or maybe they don't have internet, or there's something going on where they can't get these documents. We'll get that to them. We've supplied, different materials to families. I know that the big thing that's happened is the attendance of these students have improved. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 100% accuracy of improved attendance with all the families that we have visited.
We've been working with closely, their attendance and truancy numbers have improved, that is true.
So, I mean, that's, can't put a price on that. So they're doing great things. The other thing that I really appreciate that we've done is we've invited parents to give us feedback and to be part of this team and be equal members. I don't have any children, but I feel very connected to this area. But sometimes I don't see the things that they see on a day-to-day basis. So this gives me an opportunity to learn from them. Like, what are their, what are the struggles of every day? Like, what does it look like for a parent with someone who might have some learning, difficulties? So I think this is something that we can expand. I'm talking to the other buildings, and we're getting some different ideas, but this is something that I really appreciate being a part of, and I think it's making a significant difference in our students' lives. In order to get news out to the staff, I do a monthly newsletter on different policies, procedures, and protocols. I have different resources or different updates from the state. I've also been doing small group and individualized meetings to review best practices with different staff members. I've also done one-on-one meetings with first-year intervention specialists. IEPs can be a very daunting task. There's a lot of legal items that go along with it, so I want to be there to support those teachers like I was supported when I first started here. And then we just did a professional development for the high school intervention specialists on sections 5 and 6 of the IEP, which cover post-secondary transitions and goals. So with that, the next step is we need to kind of broaden this for all students. A lot of times when we think career, we think of only that 9th through 12th. The state kind of has a continuum. So one of the things that I want to look for in the future is to improve that for all of our students. So K through 5 is focusing on career awareness. 6th through 8th is focusing on career exploration. And then 9th through 12th is focusing on career planning. Some of the other bigger items that we're working on, we've been looking at the 2 elementary buildings that will be in use next year, meeting with different vendors as well as the state to make sure that these buildings are accessible to all students. We're going to be meeting with them, I think, in a couple weeks again, just to make sure that we have everything ready to go. We've got, continued projections on students served in our buildings to make sure that we have the proper staffing in the correct buildings. And the next thing I want to work on is a glossary of terms for the Madison Local School District to provide clarity for all staff members. I think sometimes I take it for granted that, I grew up in education. My family's all in education, so these terms weren't new to me, but it can be new to a lot of people. And I want to make sure that I'm there to support them and give them, what does a resource room mean? Or what does this acronym mean? So that's something that I'm looking to do that's Madison specific. And that is it. So, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, item I, approval of donations. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
Mr. Mosier,
4.
Mr. Porter,
4.
Mrs. Cotterman,
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. And item J, library material complaint committee review. Can I get a motion to accept the committee's review?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Discussion.
So just in case you weren't able to read through all that in your packet, I just wanted to go through this so that you make sure you know what the committee's decision was and what you're voting on. So the review committee unanimously decided to keep the book in all elementary libraries. both for the remainder of this school year and for next school year. I do want to just have a little asterisk to add to that. That at Mifflin currently, no kindergarten student would be able to check out this book, and first graders would only be able to check it out during the second half of the school year. And at Eastview and South, no kindergarten or first grade student would check this book out because it is not in their sections according to their reading level. Some second grade students would have access to this book if it fell within their reading level. And so you would either be voting, well, the motion is to accept the committee's unanimous decision to keep the book in all elementary libraries. So if you support that, then you would be voting yes, and opposed to it, you'd be voting no.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
Mr. Mosier,
4.
Mr. Porter,
4.
Mrs. Cotterman,
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. Item K, treasurer's business. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion?
All right, first we'll talk about the monthly financial report. There we go, thanks. So the revenues this, for January were skewed greatly because of advances. We took 2 advances on the real estate settlements in January to make, for cash flow reasons. So that was, if you, in the top right-hand corner, $974,000 more than we did last year in FY '25. So that's why revenues are skewed. Had we not taken those advances, revenue for the month of January actually would have been down. So that increase is just due to timing. We did end up finishing January with a negative 7 days cash on hand in the general fund, which means that in order to operate, we were using money from funds that aren't meant for operating, like bond, retirement, things such as that. So cash flow is very, very tight in January, February, until we get, basically we get a good portion of our checks twice a month when the real estate settlements come in. So when those months before that hit, cash flow's tight, so.
So
We had-
when you're borrowing like that from other areas, I'm assuming you have to, when the funds come in, you have to pay that
It's,
back? How does that?
it's not really, okay, so when I say borrowing, it's all internal. We only have one bank account,
Right.
okay? So when I do all this stuff, I'm actually taking the money and separating it internally in the funds. So when we vote later on the appropriations, those aren't different bank accounts. Those aren't separate savings accounts or anything. It's all one pot of money at one bank. The difference is I then have to keep track of, okay, well, this is how much I have for this is how much. So imagine in your household, like, you don't have a separate bank account for your house payment, separate bank account for your car payment, separate bank account for food. You have one bank account, but you might budget it out, so I'm gonna spend this much on food, this much on house payment. So when I say we took money from something, the analogy would be like, I had to take money from what I would have spent on food to pay my car payment. So that's what I mean.
And just a question on your talk about tax revenues.
Yeah.
Did the commissioners, because of their action decision, did that cost us extra revenue?
It did, but not in January. It will cost us extra revenue in the first collection when the whole total hits, and that'll be reflected in the forecast. But this is just what they've collected, a percentage of what they've collected. It does when the whole entire thing comes out, it does come out of it. But these are just advances, what people paid. Like, here's an example. In January, the first chunk we got were delinquencies. So when people didn't pay on time, in like August of last year, but they did pay after August, but they paid before December 31st. Those were delinquency payments. Well, when I asked for an advance in January, before the tax bills even went out, the auditor, the county auditor, gave me an advance on what all the delinquencies that came in were. So that's what it was. Expenditures, expenditures are tracking with the budgets, and they're statistically flat with less than 0.5% change. And when I say they're tracking with the budgets, so, you know, all the principals, all the directors, they have a budget that's set. Here's how much I can spend on electricity, or here's how much I can spend on supplies for the high school, or here's how much I can spend on professional development for the elementary school, or whatever. They have a budget that I worked with them in the beginning that they set. Well, that budget and the forecast match. So when I say the expenditures are matching the budget, I'm saying that what they say they're going to spend in their budget matches what they have spent so far. And it also matches where we are at month to date. So like when I talk about, you know, we're 57% of the way through the year, well, if I look at salaries, we're at 57% of what we have budgeted to spend on salaries. You know, same way with purchase services. Some things are a little bit different. For example, supplies. Supplies might be a little bit higher than 58% because people buy supplies at the beginning of the year. It's no good to buy supplies in the middle because school's already started. You want to buy them at the beginning. Same way with like purchase services. Sometimes that'll be a little bit higher at the beginning because we'll have to pay for purchase service up front to get it for that year. But when I look at that, I track it for month to month. I track it how it compares to what we've spent on average per month over the last 6 years. And I look at it compared to what we spent at that point in time last year. And when I say it's tracking, I'm meaning there's nothing like glaring that, whoa, we spent way too much in this area or there's something wrong. You know, it's a way to check it every month to make sure there's no anomalies. And so far, there aren't any anomalies with the budget. And, that was just the, and these are on the back page. That's just a comparison of this with our forecast. You know, the current fiscal year total revenues compared to last year, we were at 54%. Last year we were at 51%. Well, that's because last year we didn't take any advances in January. This year we took 2. 57% and 57% for the expenditures. You know, we were exactly at the same spot last year where we're supposed to be. We're at the same spot this year, which just means there's no anomalies. So, all right. So are there questions on before I go on to the rest, are there questions on this monthly report? Okay, number 2, it says approve the 2026, which is this year's mileage reimbursement for the IRS rates effective 7/1/2026 in accordance with the negotiated agreement. IRS changes January 1, but our contract language says it's not supposed to change till July 1. So we have to approve it, and then it changes when the contract says it can change. So there's that.
What's the IRS rate?
I don't know right off the top of my head.
72.5 cents?
Something like, yeah, I think you're right. I should have looked at it before it came, but I'm sorry. Next one, approval of the 5-year forecast. All right, let me go back to this. Okay, so I presented the forecast in October, and there have been several changes since then. One, Mr. Mosier pointed out what we're going to refer to as the piggyback, where the county commissioners met and said, you know, they had the option to do homestead, owner-occupied, or both. And what that means is, prior to 2013, when a levy passed, the state of Ohio said, it's either, if homestead was 10%, owner-occupied was 2.5%, said we will reduce the general tax bill, and then we will reimburse the district by that reduction. After 2013, that reduction went away. But in this last current biennium budget, the state said, County commissioners, you can go piggyback those reimbursements, either the 2.5 or the 10 or both, which means we're gonna take the money away from the district, but we're not gonna reimburse it. So basically, what had happened was the county commissioners, they piggybacked the owner occupied, the 2.5%, and that $146,000 does come out of what we would collect. So you are right, our total collections for the real estate will be reduced by $146,000. It's just, that's the overall collection, not what I took as advances.
And the taxpayer got a reduction supposedly on the property?
They got a, yeah, reduction, on the property, 2.5%. It, I forget what I did, when I did the math, it was something like, on an average home, like $20
Well, I'll
or
just
something like
let
that.
you folks know, this county commissioners who did this stuff, my property tax just reduced 60 cents. So if they think that they're saving, they're hurting the schools by doing that. So just remember that during election time.
That is true. And also, since this passed in November, our state has passed 4 House bills. I went over those in January, one of which does affect the district, so that's reflected in this. I know it says reflects the impact of if we were to pass a income tax levy in May. In October, at the very bottom, it said what would pass if it passed in November, which means we would have started collecting January 1 of this year, and we would have ceased collection on the 7.5 mil January 1 of this year. But that's if it passed in November. It didn't pass in November, so now it's May. Well, if it passes in May, the collection won't start until January 1st of 2027, which is fiscal year 27, not fiscal year 26. So it bumped everything back a year. So that not passing in May, not passing in November, if it passes in May, it just pushed everything back a year. If it doesn't pass this year, it would push everything back even further. So that's reflected in here. That's a change. And also, I had talked to you a little bit about the state kind of reneging on their reimbursement for the science of reading. They took some of that back. That had happened since the last forecast, so that's reflected in here. And, you know, that all this is important because when I do a forecast, it's a snapshot of where we are right there. And things change. It's got to be fluid, so that's why we do it, update it. I'll give you guys another update close to the end of the year, May, maybe June. We'll do an update then. This one has to be sent to the state. The one we do later on doesn't have to be, but I want to do it for the public and your benefit. So, that being said, there it is. I'm going to focus basically on 2 things when we talk about revenues. I mean, obviously the forecast is broken up into revenues and expenditures because that's what you have. You have money coming in, money going out. As far as revenues, I'm going to focus on state foundation, which is, 51% of what we bring in, and property taxes, which is 41% of what we bring in. So together, they're 92% of our revenues. That being said, the variance, even with everything I talked about from the October forecast, is 0.05% for revenues. That's all it changed. It's, relatively flat. So once I put the county commissioners reduction in, and once I put what the state did by taking away the a portion of the science reading reimbursement, and the actually public utility did go up, it changed the whole revenues from November by 0.05%. So I was still pretty close. So I'm happy with that. Real estate, I tell you what, the decrease here in real estate was that change due to the piggyback that Mr. Mosier was talking about. It is slightly less than what it was in November because of that piggyback, and the increase in public utility is because public utilities, they did go up. taxes are broken down into three variables. There's class one, which is all the homeowners, class two, which is commercial and industrial, and public utility, and they're all taxed at different rates, and that's all set in law. The state aid went down due to the science of reading, but, you know, something I want to point out in here, since, I went back 5 years, since FY '21, our state aid has increased less than 1%. So, to do an analogy, imagine you have a two household income, okay? One of the income earners in the household makes 51% of your household income. The other household income earner makes 41% of your household income. In the past 5 years, the person who made the 51%, they've only increased their revenue, their salary, by less than 1% in the past 5 years. Well, we all know what has happened with inflation, everything going up in the last 5 years. Electricity, gas, insurance, health insurance, supplies. It's all gone up 10% for us in the last 5 years. But the biggest portion, 51%, the biggest earner, biggest revenue, which is the state, has gone up less than 1%. So what's that do? That makes everything fall on the other 41%, the other earner, which is our local property taxes. So Mr. Mosier is 100% correct. The state, by keeping us flat, is pushing the burden to all the taxpayers. I can't believe it's not intentional. I mean, it's so glaring obvious. So when you guys are talking about property tax reform, you know, instead of being, if somebody's mad at the district, it's not the district's fault. It's the state legislatures. You know, contact Senator Romanchuk or Marilyn John. They're the ones who voted to keep taking money away from public schools and pushing the burden, because that's essentially what's happening here.
Our tax dollars should go to public schools. They shouldn't go to the private schools or these pop-up schools, as I call them. Our tax dollars belong in our public schools.
I agree. So that's the state aid part. Expenditures, that variance over, since October is changed by 0.15%. Small amount. It's a very small amount in the actual salaries. It's a little bit larger in the benefits, because when we ended up getting the renewal, it was higher than what I anticipated, and there was an increase in capital outlay because, as Mr. Neron pointed out with boiler projects, we've had, you know, boiler projects, lines breaking, plows breaking. It's called a gator, a side-by-side where we plow. That broke. It just seems like if it can break, it has. So we've had to increase that budget. So since we've had to increase that budget because of so many things breaking, it's such a hard winter, it increased the forecast for this. So, but even that being said, 0.15% is small of an increase. Once again, though, the majority of our expenditures are in salary and benefits and purchase services, so those are the three main things I'm going to talk about. So salaries, if you see that giant dip in that graph, that's because of the RIF process that we've unfortunately had to go through in closing the building. That is the projection decrease for salaries next year. Other than some retirements that I've put in, there aren't any other decreases. Wages continue to rise, even without putting any base wage increase in here. I've only put in steps. Even without putting base wage increases in here, the steps, it'll drop next year and it'll keep going up. So, you have a question on that?
No,
Okay.
sorry, I was trying to find where you were.
That's fine. So basically what I'm saying is the decrease next year's for a RIF, it goes right back up even with some retirements put in. And if during negotiations, if we had any money or have any money to give a base wage increase, that's going to increase even more. And with the way the state is playing their games, and they're not giving us any more money, if we don't get any more money locally, you can either raise your revenue or cut expenditures. Well, if we can't raise our revenue, we're just gonna have to do even more cuts to keep the budget balanced. So I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, especially after the process we went through now. And, you know, it's difficult to close a building. It's not pleasant for parents. It's not what's best for kids. But if we can't generate more revenue, we're gonna have to continue to make cuts. And there's gonna be a point in time where we can't cut anymore because we're bare. So salaries, benefits, I'm gonna tell you what's driving benefits, and it's all health insurance. It's, health insurance right now is 65% of our benefits. In fact, if you do an analysis, I've done an analysis. If you take what the district spends as a percentage of expenditures on salaries and take what the district spends as a percentage on benefits and compare them, salaries to benefits, Madison Local Schools is the highest in the state. We're spending 72 cents for every dollar we spend, 72 to 73. For every dollar we spend on a salary, we spend another 72 to 73 cents on benefits. Okay, that's either STRS or health insurance. So it is, some of it has to do with the pickup on the pickup and the pickup of the 6 3/4% that's in the negotiated agreement. But as I pointed out here, you know, the biggest part of it, 65% is health insurance. Now, you all, well, I think you know, Mr. Peterson knows, we have done some things to try to curb that. We've gone to a consortium, which is a change. We've assigned the papers. We're implementing a thing called continuing care management coverage, which is going to help with the prescription stuff. We've implemented Smart Shopper, which helps people shop around for the cheapest option. We keep making these changes, but there's a lot of things that we are not able to make. A lot of changes we aren't able to make because they are agreed upon.
So the consortium is just supposed to try to help keep things a little more balanced, right? So that you don't have these huge spikes. It absorbs a little bit of that in a way?
It keeps things a little more balanced, so it absorbs the spikes, but it spreads the risk out over a lot more people. So when you buy insurance, you're buying risk over how, you know, you're buying something against your risk. So for example, if you were to buy life insurance, if you sit behind a desk, it's less risky than if you are a professional skydiver. So obviously, life insurance for a professional skydiver would cost more because the risk is so much more. Well, because when you join a consortium, you don't just have Madison lives, you have thousands and thousands of lives. It spreads that risk out over more, so it should supposed to stabilize it and keep those increases less than what they have been. That's the whole goal, is to try to reduce those increases, because those increases have been ridiculous. And so salary and benefits are 85%, and the last 10% is purchase services. And, you know, Mr. Neron and I have had meetings with, it's called NRG, which is our electric provider, to try to figure out ways to cut electric costs. Mr. McVicker and I have had meetings with, it's a company called Granite, to try to reduce our costs for phone services. We've gone through consortiums for gas. Mr. Yost and I have talked about fuel, consortiums to buy bus fuel. We're doing everything we can to try to reduce those costs as much as we can. But, you know, we can't shut the electricity off to a building. We can't shut the heat off in the winter. You know, it's just, it is what it is. We can do everything we can to try to reduce those costs, but a lot of them are market driven. You know, we have very little control other than in the consortium with buying power. We don't have a lot of control over what the market does with electricity. I mean, we can buy it for a longer period of time and buy it in a consortium so we have better purchasing power. But, we're not gonna be able to get it at a third of what the residential customer's gonna get it. It's gonna be a few cents a kilowatt hour cheaper, but not significantly less.
Yeah.
So those are the three big items, which are 95% of the expenditures. Supplies and capital outlay. Capital outlay, that's less than 4% of our budget. And as I talked about earlier, capital outlay, it's not Mr. Neuron's fault the boilers break, or the plows break. They do. Things get old. We're in, 1962? How old is this? Like 62 or 68? Yeah, 68. So it's not a new building. Things break. It is what it is. And when you use them commercially, you've got to maintain them. And and they're not as cheap as they were 5 years ago and 10 years ago. So in conclusion, we made cuts. We're going to have to continue to make cuts if we don't get more revenue. Obviously, we are on the ballot in May to get more revenue. I really hope it passes, and if it doesn't, we are going to have to be looking at tightening our belt even further. And, we're to the point where I think tightening it, well, even now, we're tightening it, it's having a negative impact on the education of kids. I think if we have to continue to tighten it, it's going to have a very detrimental impact to the community. And, I would hope that people would care enough to want to support the schools because, 10,000 people show up on a Friday night to watch Madison Rams play football. It's important. It's, as Mr. Peterson's pointed out, there is no, Madison Rams is the community. There is no corporation limit. There is no city or village. We are it. So, I would hope people would want to preserve that because it's pretty important. I apologize for it not being, rainbows and kittens, but it's honest. Are there questions before I move on from the 5-year forecast? Okay, the next thing is the appropriations and modifications. So when that last House bill passed, even prior to that, I submitted modifications every time when we had major changes to our budget. When the last House bill passed, the 5-year forecast has to match the budgets that I give to the county auditor and what we report to the state. It has to match. So I'm asking you to approve the 5-year forecast. So I'm also asking you to approve the budget modifications to match the forecast. And the last one, accept a grant from the NEA for $46.53 for Kate Darnell's 5th grade battle for the books. So I want to thank Kate. She's not here, but publicly on the record, thank her for going out and trying to get that and getting that grant and doing it. So that was, any questions? It was a lot.
I don't think so.
Okay. Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mr. Porter?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mr. Mosier?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4, and then item L, strategic plan.
Kyle would never let me hold this thing. So probably can't be trusted. So, all right, we're here to talk facilities improvement and development. Our goal is, just to provide a safe, healthy, and accessible learning environment to meet 21st century educational, extracurricular, and community needs. Our first goal is just facility improvement and development. So this is on the IT side, just addressing anything that comes up, along the way for the infrastructure for that. So just our action steps there are, our technology, professional development, that's sort of ongoing, the things that come up new, the technology department, gets that out to the staff and stays on top of things like that. Continue to improve and maintain our systems throughout the district, so make sure that our infrastructure can, has the capacity to, hold everything that we need to do and to stay up on the ever-changing things that happen in the technology world. And then continue to add to the CCTV monitoring upgrades and additions for the athletic complex and the school buildings.
So next is the strategy here is the audit facilities and partner with principals and staff to provide enhanced safety measures. So one of the big things this year with closing Mifflin location, it is one of our only fully ADA schools, one-level schools, not multiple floors. Our big thing, as Mr. Roth has said, we've gone out, met with the state, audited our buildings. We've met with different suppliers to give us options to correct these situations, to make our buildings accessible for wheelchair-bound students, people with disabilities. We have come to some sort of a plan. We're waiting back for some quotes. That's our big thing right now, is the budgeting side of it. We know we want to have this implemented by August, before the start of school. These things have to be put in place. A lot of these things probably should have been done over the years in moderation or in steps. Unfortunately, it's caught us now. We're to a point where we need to continue on with this. So that's our big things that we're working on for this year. The next is our parking lot facilities. We have a lot of old parking lots, a lot of old playgrounds that are paved. These are the type of things that need to be upkept. We are putting plans together for this. It's not an overnight situation. Budget constraints don't allow you to do this in large masses. Our next big project is going to be at the high school, our next section of our main parking lot. That is a 4-section deal. We did not do it last year because of purposes with the roofing projects here at the high school. We allotted those funds to take care of the more important thing, the roof, keeping this place dry. Next one is our handicap seating at the football fields, another ADA project. That's kind of the big one where we are kind of lacking in the district, is with the ADA compliances. There's a lot more involved with that, but we are working to make this district a more accessible district. Like I said, hopefully by the time of 2030, we'll be all set. But that's about it.
Yep.
So, any questions with anything? Make it short and sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, item M, matters related to personnel number 1A and B, with the exception of Jennifer Porter, the JV volleyball coach, which we will vote on separately. Can I get a motion for those items? And a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Hearing none. Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Connerman?
4.
Mr. Porter?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Miss Amy Walker?
4. And then can I get a motion to approve Jennifer Porter as our JV volleyball coach?
And I'll second.
Discussion?
Okay, Mr. Mosier?
4.
Mrs. Melissa Walker?
4.
Mrs. Cotterman?
4.
Mr. Porter? Abstain. Miss Amy Walker?
4. Item N, superintendent's business. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Just want to address items 8 and 9. These are, both of these items, one is required by law, number 8 is required by law, that we provide a public meeting on the approval of the 2026-2027 school calendar. So if anybody would like to speak and address that, they can. I will just share with you regarding the calendar. The only things that, most of it stays consistent from year to year with our transition from 3 elementaries to 2 next year and going to grade level buildings. The first day of school for grades 1 through 4 will be moved back by 2 days. and same with kindergarten. So that's why those are staggered. And one difference in the second semester next year, according to this calendar, the second semester would start immediately when we came back from winter break, whereas this year we went one more week after break in the second grading period. Next year, the second grading period would end prior to winter break. And then lastly, spring break would include Good Friday and the week after Easter. Sometimes that is before Easter, but next year it'll be the week after. So those are kind of the major items in the calendar. So this will be an opportunity for anybody to speak on that would like to speak. And then next month I would be bringing it back, assuming there's no major concerns, bring it back for approval. And then also public meeting on the issue of the building name changes for next year. Changing Madison South Elementary to Madison Primary and Eastview to Madison Intermediate. We've talked about this a little bit, and I really haven't heard anything from either staff or community regarding it. No real pushback. The intent of that is that all of our buildings would be Madison buildings, and one of the priorities with students and staff changing buildings is to make everybody feel welcome in those buildings and kind of starting from scratch, so to speak. So again, an opportunity for anybody to speak on that item as well. And if no major objections, I'd be bringing that back in March for approval.
All right.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
For.
Mrs. Cotterman,
For.
Mr. Porter,
Four.
Mr. Mosier, Miss Amy Walker.
4. And item O, do we have any visitors' comments? P, President's Business. Next regular Board of Education meeting is March 18th at 6 p.m. in the Madison Middle School Auditoria. And then do we need to set a time to move April's meeting?
Yeah, we
Okay.
need to set the time and date.
Okay, so I believe we had the 8th and the 22nd that we were tossing around that were good for you?
Yeah.
Are one of those dates better?
Either's fine.
Either's fine for you?
I'm good either.
Do we want to go with the 22nd? Are you guys good with that?
Sure.
Wednesday, the 22nd at 6 o'clock? Okay, can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I'll second.
Who seconded it?
Mary.
Mary.
Okay.
And then we will not be voting when we return.
Mr. Mosier,
For.
Mrs. Cotterman.
For.
Mr. Porter,
Four.
Mrs. Melissa Walker,
4.
Miss Amy Walker.
4. This is, I didn't get to say why we're going.